with us. We know you could've stayed home, just cried and cussed. May all your guns go off if it's time to bust. May all their tanks have time to run.
Thank you, everybody, and welcome to Chill Time with Tired Peasant. And, as a parent, I have a special guest in the background. Yeah. So, that is a wonderful song. We Got the Guillotine. Yeah, they better watch out because we hold the power. So, how are you guys doing this morning? I'm a little sleepy, but I got my coffee, my coffee cup that my kid made for me. What a cute kiddo. Yeah, so I've just been sipping coffee, looking at articles and whatnot. This is Chill Time with Tired Peasant. And Chill Time with Tired Peasant, a guest can just pop out unexpectedly, like this little one right here. Yeah. So let's continue playing the song. Let's vibe a little bit before we talk.
They got the armies turning bullets into gold. They got the hookers turning tricks into cold. And every time the police kicks in the dough, an angel gas breaks dips in the O. And even if a D-boy flips in my O, it ain't enough to buy shit anymore. Sleep in the doorway, piss on the floor. Look in the sky, wait for missiles to show. It's finna blow, cause they got the TV, we got the truth. They own the judges and we got the proof. We got hella people, they got helicopters. They got the bombs and we got the
guillotine. We got the guillotine, you better run. We got the guillotine. We got the guillotine, you better run. We got the guillotine. We got the guillotine, you better run. We got the guillotine. We got the guillotine, you better run. Talk about it, I show. Be about it, I know. Talk about it, I show. Be about it, I know.
I just spit the dope lines, I don't snort them. Tell the boss to call police to escort them. You don't ride out them lines, you just quote them. Get offline, plug into this modem. No, you can't outvote them, the rules are still golden. On the jewels we holdin' if we guardin' our scrotum. If you press your ear to the turf that is stolen, you can hear the sound of limitations exploding. Please sir, may we have another portion with children of the beast that dodge the abortion. Neck placed firm between the floor and the portion. When shut your shit down, don't call it extortion. Caution, we're coming for your head, so call the feds and get files to shred. Every textbook read said bring you the bread, but guess what, we got you instead.
We got the guillotine. We got the guillotine, you better run. We got the guillotine. We got.
This definitely should be our anthem for 2024 and moving forward. So have you heard that some orange dude got shot?
And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Where were you on July 13th, 2024? Well, for me, I was shitposting on Twitter, and I couldn't believe that this happened. And of course, Trump's going to milk it.
Everything's falling off of me. Oh my god.
It's okay. Of course, Trump's going to milk it. Did you see this ear patch? It looked like a fucking maxi pad or some shit. Anyway. So that right there, the whole assassination attempt, the whole Trump milking it, basically, that's one of the signs of the decline in America. Just more political theater, meaning Trump was milking it. The Dems kissing his ass like he's a threat to democracy, but they want to send him well wishes. Like, half of the people are not stupid. Like, we could see clear through the bullshit. We can see clear through their agenda. So I was just looking at articles the other day and videos about the decline in America. And it's, I don't know, shit's going to get worse. So I also think that we are living in the Hunger Games. Let me find this video and show you guys. Let me find it. Okay. All right. This is an interesting video. Let me hit play.
All right, today is a different type of video, and people should obviously decide for themselves what they think of that. We are the Capitol from Hunger Games. Now, I said we because I'm loosely referring to the United States, and that's where I live, but I don't actually mean we as in me myself necessarily, because I'm just not part of that social level. That being said, I live here and engage in that system, and maybe I'm more like a shop owner or one of the low-level entertainers that effectively wander the Capitol streets and make a living while doing so, but when I look around, that's what I see. Let me explain. For anyone who isn't familiar with The Hunger Games, it's a book trilogy written by Suzanne Collins with its first publication in 2008. The premise is fairly simple, but in summary, it's a dystopian world of corruption and control, where the Capitol, Panem, controls 13 other districts, providing what it needs to live in complete and total excess. In order to keep those districts in line, every year, they select tributes, 2 from each district, and make them fight to the death in a sort of hyper-gamified grand arena. And while the details, of course, don't necessarily represent modern American culture to the letter, we don't do anything like that per se, really. The general atmosphere is what I'm talking about, and once you see it, it's kind of hard not to keep seeing it. I'm just going to read a little bit here about the Capitol from a fairly well-written book analysis website, so yeah, here it is. Society and Culture, and this part in particular is from the book itself. Quote, "What must it be like, I wonder, to live in a world where food appears at the press of a button? How would I spend the hours I now commit to combing the woods for sustenance if it were so easy to come by? What do they do all day, these people in the Capitol, besides decorating their bodies and waiting around for a new shipment of tributes to roll in and die for their entertainment?" End quote. That's from the book itself, but the further description of the Capitol culture is what I find to be most interesting. The Capitol is marked by abundance and luxury. They have automatic food dispensers that bring forth the most exotic food that anyone from the districts has ever seen. To be able to eat more of this exotic food, the citizens of the Capitol drink a liquid that causes them to vomit, thereby allowing them to taste but not digest their food. This is in stark contrast to the people of the districts who starve from the lack of food. As a society, the Capitol is filled with vain and superficial people who are concerned only about fashion and food. The citizens disfigure their bodies with dyed skin, tattoos, ornaments, jewels, and plastic surgery. They wear different wigs every day and speak in a strange accent.
Let me pause this for
They
a
barely
second.
open their mouths when talking.
You can see this happening today. For example, celebrities. People go crazy about Taylor Swift going to a restaurant with Travis Kelce, and they want us to care what they're eating and what extravagant clothing that they're wearing, while literally there's people that are fighting for their lives on the streets, Palestinian children getting blown up. It's like they want to distract us from what is actually happening, and a lot of people buy it. A lot of people want to know what Tay-Tay's wearing. A lot of people are invested in that. And what they were saying too about extravagant meals, like these rich people get these little tiny plates of food, or they just get like an abundance of food and they waste it. Like I've seen a lot of TikTok videos. I've seen a lot of TikTok videos about rich people just like wasting their food. And we're living in the Capitol, and all of us are in a district. Each and every one of us are in a district. And we see, it's not to the extreme where they have like kids fighting against each other like the Hunger Games, but there's like a lot of similarities to the Capitol and Washington. All right, let me play this back.
And end their sentences with a high intonation. They speak in high-pitched voices, have clipped words, and strange vowel sounds. Most of them also tend to hiss the letter S. The people of the capital enjoy melodrama and theatric bloodshed. They eagerly take part in the Hunger Games, either as spectators, gamblers, or sponsors. They are extremely self-centered and only care about the tributes according to how much entertainment value they provide. That's a pretty visceral image, right? That's kind of the description that they have on that website. So how exactly do I sit here and say, you know what? That sounds like America. Well, for starters, exotic food absolutely arrives at the press of a button. Some would say it's an impressive feat of modern engineering and global supply lines. Others might say it's an excessive waste, but it happens. Thankfully, we don't induce ourselves to vomit when we eat. At least no one I know does
I hate
that.
ads. But yeah, like food is just the click of your finger. It's here. Like we have access to a lot of food. But I'm talking about more like how it's like the capital's like, you know, rich people. Like they get everything. Like they get to go in front of a line. They get any type of food they want. Like while literally people are starving. Um, it's just sickening, and they want us to be distracted by TV shows, sports. It's bread and circuses, but without the bread. LOL. um, yeah, let me just go ahead and play this.
But think about this with a layer of abstraction. How many people have seen the show Is It Cake on Netflix? Yes? No? Anyone? It's not a bad show. It's entertaining, for sure, in a way, but think about the concept fully. For starters, it's not alone. There's other similar programs as well, a lot of them, like Cake Boss or Sugar Rush. But when you see what's really happening and you compare it to the capital, it's not so far off. Huge amounts of resources are being poured into the production and display of these exotic cakes while they film them every step of the way with a cash prize, and they get basically picked at and then thrown away. The food is wasted, and it's not quite the same as eating with the intention to vomit afterward, but it's a demonstration of just how excessive the culture has become. Some people might roll their eyes here, and I understand that to a degree, but I catch myself thinking about the fact that America is witnessing a record increase to the homeless population in the past couple of years in particular, with even more dramatic examples in major cities. The amount of wasted energy, resources, and food in a time like this, purely for the sake of shallow, hypersaturated entertainment while people starve, well, it's obviously at least partially similar. Still, one example doesn't constitute a pattern, and after I started really thinking about it, there was no turning back. Citizens disfigure their bodies, dyed skin.
Exactly. You have these shows where they're making these gorgeous cakes, and and then they have like the judges that they test a little bit and then they throw it out. Or for example, like where I work, if there's like a little dent in a box, it gets tossed away. It doesn't even get donated. So it's ridiculous that while we're throwing stuff away, and then there's literally homeless people that are in need of food, in dire need of food. There's people in Palestine that are in dire need of food, and we're just throwing stuff away because in America and capitalism, it's all about looks. It's all about the perception of everything is great. Make America great again or whatever, but it was never great. This is just not great at all. They just want you to perceive like everything is okay. They just want you to know that, hey, it's okay to throw away food. We have so much. But that's why they try to hide homeless people as much as they can, because it's not a homeless person's fault. It's capitalism. That's capitalism isn't working. And yeah, there's just so much waste that, food could actually go to feed a lot of people. But we're living in the capital. We're living in the Hunger Games. It's all about the capital. It's all about celebrities just keeping the image up. It's all about the status quo. It's all about the super elites. It's all about them. And we are in the districts and they don't give a fuck about us. Yes, I know the title is Chill Time with Tire Peasant. Maybe it ain't chill.
Ornaments, jewels, and
Let's play
plastic
back the
surgery.
video.
How does that compare? On the level of pop culture, if we think of a very specific example, which some people may or may not know of, there's a rapper named Lil Uzi who embedded a $30 million pink diamond in his forehead. It didn't last very long. Supposedly it would kill him if it got removed, something like that, but then his own fans yanked it right out of his skull, and he's fine. But it's very difficult to imagine a more poignant example of disfiguring one's own body for the sake of wealth and excess. Not enough? Anecdotal, just one example? Okay, let's focus more on the broader population. The most common elective surgery worldwide is botulinum toxin. I don't know if that's exactly how you say it, but...
So this reminded me of the incident of the Met Gala where that one Camilla Cabara, I don't know how to say her name. She's irrelevant anyway. But she literally had an ice purse that was like a shit ton of money. It was just like a ridiculous amount of money. A fucking ice purse. Like, these celebrities, they need to be abolished. Capitalism needs to be abolished. Like, it's ridiculous in the trajectory that we're heading. Like, we're literally heading to fascism. We're on the road. It's here, but it's going to get worse. And we have these celebrities, and we have the movies that they put out, and all these distractions that they want us to think that, hey, it's okay. Like, just keep eating your overpriced foods. Just keep eating the foods that are killing us, that are killing you. You know, keep listening to that celebrity with the ice purse. Everything's okay. You know, don't mind all these 10 tornadoes, possible tornadoes in Chicago, or all these weird weather patterns that are happening. Just forget that. You know, just watch these celebrities. Like, watch Taylor Swift, where her and Travis are going to go to next. Like, this is the stuff I'm talking about. Like, it's just a distraction, and all they want to do is distract us.
Yeah, Botox for short. It's one of the most poisonous biological substances known to mankind, and yet, as of 2021, there were over 7 million procedures being performed every year. Narrow the focus, and we can see that in the United States, in particular, the combined number of surgical and non-surgical cosmetic treatments, such as Botox or rhinoplasty, breast enhancements, etc., has risen dramatically in the past 20 years. Surgical procedures roughly doubled, while non-surgical cosmetic procedures have risen by a multiple of 10. According to the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, in 2020, the phenomenon has only increased since that point in time. $16.7 billion were spent on cosmetic or plastic enhancement procedures, and with the rate of increase being what it is, that figure is rapidly rising. Food, body augmentation, what about fashion? Yeah, that one's really easy. How many people have seen or heard about the Met Gala? Stuff like this. Ring a bell? I don't know how much closer the comparison could possibly be.
So basically, for like the beauty industry and stuff like that, like they always want us to not be ourselves. They always say like, oh, aging's wrong. You got to buy all these things and all that stuff. That's why it can also relate. It could also relate to the capital. They just want to distract us from nature, for being who we are, and it just all collides together. So yeah. So in a lot of ways, we're in the districts. There's the people in the capital. We got the politicians, you know, with their bullshit. And then you got the celebrities backing up the politician with their bullshit. They're all working together. And then we got Trump and Biden, and they're working together to like combine their fascism. And what are we going to do? Are we just going to sit down? No, what you can do, what my homework for you is to just keep spreading your truth. You know, if there's a time where you can like talk to a family member or someone that's like kind of like iffy, like about who they're going to vote for, just try to get to them, try to get to anybody, find your community. That's also important. One more last video before I end this. Let's see. Let's see. And so basically it says, are we living through the end of an empire? And I believe it.
This episode and others like it are brought to you by the generous support of my patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to help support this channel, join our growing Discord server, and get early access to every video, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/secondthought. Throughout the well-worn pages of history, empires have risen, grown to prominence, and collapsed into the mist of time. The Roman Empire, stretching from the sweltering sands of Africa to the murky woods of northern England. The British Empire and her dominance of the Seven Seas. Radio Shack. All of these and more have become the stuff of legend, each with their own stories of success, expansion, and ultimately collapse, unable to bear the weight of their inherent contradictions. But are all empires destined to meet this fate? And the question on everyone's mind, probably because it's the title of this video, are we living through the end of an empire? In this episode, we'll take a look at the precarious position of the United States and consider some historic parallels to assess whether the US is really in decline. Alright, here we go. I'm ready. Nope, that's terrible. Alright, I'm ready. Shouldn't. Rome. Or are we doing this as 2 takes? Okay, here we go. I'm ready. Rome. The empire all other empires aspire to be. From their breathtaking architecture, to their lavish feasts, to their penchant for feeding people they don't like to wild animals, Rome is truly the shining example of what other nations can only hope to accomplish. We can't really talk about empires or empires in decline without talking about the Roman one. And it just so happens that Americans, from politicians to far-right history YouTubers, love to compare the US to Rome. So, is there something to this comparison? Is the US the new Rome? In a lovely bit of cosmic irony, the first book of Edward Gibbon's ambitious 6-volume work, The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, was published in 1776, on the eve of the birth of a new empire, one that would go on to become arguably the most powerful in history. In some ways, the United States and the Roman Empire do have a lot in common.
Behold, dear Petronius, my new Rome.
An insatiable desire for expansion, extreme inequality, a globe-spanning network of influence, a penchant for chattel slavery, military dominance, and decadent displays of wealth. There have been countless books, essays, political diatribes, and social media posts earnestly comparing the United States to Rome, and often for good reason. Both empires were bogged down in endless wars, both displayed a shocking level of wealth inequality, both suffered economic crises that commentators in both eras were certain would spell the final end of the golden age of civilization. And if we're being honest, both had about the same response to disease outbreaks, which is to say those in power let a whole lot of people die and isolated themselves as best they could. But we should also note that a lot of the people making these comparisons are only doing it because they have this weird thing about mythologizing the United States. It's a very young country, comparatively speaking, so what better way to afford it a little extra grandeur than giving ourselves the title of the New Rome, the shining city on a hill, the glorious republic that commands the world itself. That fits very nicely into the whole manifest destiny, American exceptionalism thing. We'll get back to that towards the end of the video. But first, we need to address what the end of an empire actually looks like. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, the fall of Rome. Despite the popularity of the phrase, most academics have moved on from the term fall when talking about the Roman Empire. The consensus now is that it wasn't any single inflection point that triggered a dramatic collapse, but an agonizing, generations-long slide into a decreased standing in the world. There wasn't one single point where we could say Rome was an empire yesterday, and today it's a failed project.
Exactly. I worked through COVID, and they did not care about the workers. And that's also a sign of the decline of the empire. What they did with us is they didn't provide us with enough masks. They just wanted to keep us working. They didn't care. They just wanted to keep the Capitol up and running. They didn't care how many people died in COVID. They just wanted to erase it and keep it up and running. Just like what the Biden administration is doing, because COVID is still here. And people are acting like it's not here anymore. No, they just want to keep the Capitol running. And that's what they did. When COVID first happened at my job, we got to take, like, if we were sick, we got to take off of work without any repercussions, but that wasn't for a long time. And then we started getting in trouble. And then it was like 2 weeks for COVID, and then it was 1 week, and then it was like less than 5 days. And then it's like you can't miss any days. So what I learned from COVID that actually radicalized me even more, it's that they don't care about us. It's just they care about the capital. We are property to them. We are just a social security number to them. We're just a body to them. And when we are not of use anymore, that's it. We're done. Um, that's.
The real world doesn't work like that. There were certainly some instances one could point to as chapter markers near the end of the story. For example, around the year 476, there wasn't really an emperor claiming the vast swaths of land the empire had once held with an iron fist. But if we're looking for a Marvel-esque announcement that Rome has fallen, we're not gonna find one. What we can trace, and it's easier to do so in retrospect, is a series of minor failures that go unaddressed. Crumbling infrastructure due to lack of investment, rampant corruption, severe inequality, dwindling trust in institutions or leadership, humiliating military defeat, or endless conflict sapping resources. These all add up to a very real challenge to the structure of an empire. To take the Roman example, the city of Rome itself had been sacked multiple times, but what really did the city in was when the supply chain failed. State-subsidized grain shipments on state-subsidized ships tied up at state-subsidized docks. Eventually, as the state was less able or willing to maintain these mundane but crucial projects, things sort of just fell apart over time. It's never one big collapse, it's death by 1,000 cuts. Countless seemingly insignificant failures that together add up to an inability to function. A useful way to think about this can be found in Isaac Asimov's Foundation trilogy, which is now actually a really good show if you're into sci-fi. Much like Harry Seldon prophesied a series of crises along the path of the Empire's long and painful collapse, so too can we take a step back and see a handful of big red dots on the timeline of American decline. I don't want to spoil the show, but suffice it to say that it has a really good understanding of the scale we're talking about when looking at the process of decline. It's not a quick and dramatic collapse. These things take decades or even centuries, but the cracks are already there. And every once in a while, a pillar buckles. The Great Depression, the Red Scares and McCarthyist pogroms, 9/11.
So these are just signs of the decline, crumbling infrastructure. Okay, perfect example. Remember that bridge that collapsed? I need to get better at like remembering infrastructures. Like, okay, so let's take it back to where I live. I live in a pretty decent neighborhood. It's by like a 5-star school, whatever that means, but you would think that the roads would be good, right? Nah, potholes everywhere. And in Florida, like it literally takes years for something that you would think that would take, less than that. And for example, China has their beautiful high-speed rail system. So, but here we're never going to get that because number one, the aviation, you know, I'm cracking. The aviation, they wouldn't let us do that. Like flight is everything. Like they make a lot of money. The aviation corporation. But yeah, other incidents. Oh, okay. So like Katrina, what 18 years? I think it's been like 18 years since Hurricane Katrina. Still, like if you go to New Orleans, still a lot of places haven't recovered from that. Okay, and me living in Florida, we've had lots of hurricanes in the past, and there's still areas where we still haven't recovered. And you would think in a so-called rich country we would have had that fixed, right? No. They don't care. Rampant corporation. Okay, we could see that with our eyes every single day. With the election, with Trump getting the charges, certain charges dropped, Biden and any corruptions with Biden and Trump, like the whole election, it's just rampant corruption where they listen to the donor class, what the donor class wants, the donor class gets. That in itself is a corruption. Oh, inside trading and Nancy Pelosi, like all that stuff, rampant corruption, severe inequality. Okay, severe inequality. Um, Black and brown people are still suffering. Um, Roe versus Wade, like all of that stuff is happening. Like the abortion rights are getting taken away. Humiliating defeat. Um, humiliating. America is humiliating. um, there's just little cracks of the empire falling, and you don't have to be smart at figuring it out. It's literally all around you. Even if you're not really familiar about what's happening globally or in other states, just look at your state. That's my homework for you. Look at your, well, I'm giving you a lot of homework. Look at your state. See what's declining in your state and think to yourself, this is definitely is a sign of the decline. For me, it's the constant potholes, the constant things that are not being fixed. The school supply list is getting more expensive. It's not the teacher's fault. It's just it's all coming together.
The 2008 financial crash and Great Recession, COVID, and now the handful of crises that have been simmering for decades and are coming to a head. The climate crisis and the collapse of US imperial control of the periphery. We're losing ground economically, militarily, and geopolitically to China. The US regime's steadfast support for the genocide of the Palestinian people has ensured no country in the third world will ever believe our rhetoric about self-determination and freedom again. Just like that, an entire generation of Americans disabused of the myth that we're the good guys. And this is where the usual Western analysis begins to fail. A lot of people make the mistake of attributing crises of empire to the failures or excesses of individual leaders or people or groups with influence. It's always the other team that's making things go wrong. It's Trump on immigration and LGBT rights. It's Biden on funding endless proxy wars. While megalomaniacs or senile old warmongers can certainly make things worse, the underlying logic of the system in which they operate is the determining factor in how the crises they lead us through are handled. Take COVID, for example.
I know that we will achieve victory and quickly return to the path of exceptional health, safety, and
Basically, it's not going to happen all in one swoop, all really quickly. It's just little cracks, and then the cracks get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then before you know it, we ran out of time. We can continue more of this discussion in the next video, but yeah, these are the signs of the decline in America, and in your very own state where you live, you can find the cracks. You don't have to open up a book. You don't have to Google it up. It's literally right in front of you. Before I go, I'm going to share a Twitter post about it. Hold on. Bear with me. Okay, so it says, what are the signs of a collapsing empire? Some signs of collapse include political and institutional inflexibility, tremendous political and institutional marks the early days of empire, glorification and celebration of leaders and institutions. For example, Obama. Everybody glorifies him like he's like an all-time celebrity, but you got to remember, like, what did he do for us? Obamacare is shit. He droned a lot of hospitals, but like half of the people are just mesmerized because he had his shirt taken off. Like he has his shirt off walking in the beach. Like people glorify politicians instead of like holding them accountable. violence and disrespect of institutions. Yeah, there's school shootings, happens all the time. You can't go anywhere without the possibility of getting shot. Military ineffectiveness. Yeah, military industrial complex. Pretty much, you got people just going crazy, shooting kids and justifying it. So, one of my followers says, so I asked, what are the signs of a collapsing empire? And someone said, take your, take, put your camera and look around. Someone said, inequality, lack of law and order, extreme leadership. Um, Now, someone said, everything we see around us, people in despair, self destructive, while the ruling class is addicted to wealth and can't stop making war. And that's true. While we're being distracted, while we are in despair, the ruling class is just finding another war to take on and adding more wealth to their empire. Um, so there's just a lot of cracks in our districts. So look within your district, and you shall see the cracks. Um, Thank you so much for listening to Chill Time with Tired Peasant. It's a new show, so I'm not perfect, but I'm just gonna tell it like it is. And what I want to close off with is always free Palestine. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Communism will win. And my homework for you is to find the cracks within your state. Find the cracks within your state. Write in the comments. And what are the cracks that you found, and how does that tell that it's leading to a decline of the empire? That's my homework for you. So I want to wish everybody a good day, and thank you for joining Chill Time with Tired Peasant. And yeah, bye.